The Cybrarian presents Norse Myths. Thor. Suitable for all ages. Images by Steiner Engeland.
The Norsemen were famous for their long ships and were great fishermen. Many fishermen may boast about the size of their catch. So this tale of Thor is a tale of a tale. Aegir, god of the sea, oft held great feasts for all the other gods in his great hall. So Thor and his wife Sif would attend these feasts, not so much for all the fish upon Aegir's table, as Thor preferred red meat. So it was strange that Thor would boast of his great skill in fishing, among other things. But Thor was not there for fish, though he would never say such to Aegir, for when Aegir, god of the sea, is angered, the seas themselves rage, and woe to any sailor on the sea then. But Aegir is not the only one who can roil the seas. There is also Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent, a great sea snake born of Loki and the giantess Angerboda. This great serpent, this monster of monsters, has never stopped growing, and flecks of his coils can make waves like mountains. No, Thor was not in Aegir's hall for fish, but for mead. The fine mead flowed, and the gods drank much, until Aegir had no more mead left. The look of shame upon Aegir caused Sif to console him. And since Thor had drank more than any other, Sif told Aegir that Thor would help him get more mead. So Aegir tasked Thor to bring him a great cauldron, that they may brew as much mead as they wished. Thor was willing, but did not know where to find a cauldron so great to slake the thirst of all in Aegir's hall. Then Tyr, a young god and Thor's friend, son to Ymir the great Jotun frost giant, spake, saying his father has a cauldron so big he can bathe in it. So the two friends set off to Jotunheim for the cauldron, with Thor in guise of a man. When they returned, they were eagerly awaited, for the journey took much time. Much more mead was brewed, and the feast went on, and Thor told the tale of their journey to all. Thor, appearing as a man, and Tyr journeyed to the home of Tyr's father in Jotunheim. Tyr's father Ymir was not there when they arrived, but his mother was. She would prepare food for them after their long journey, but said they should hide before Ymir returned, for he had fierce temper and did not like surprise visitors or strangers such as this friend of Tyr's. It was good Thor took a man's guise, for he had battled the frost giants often, and would not be welcome. It was not long before the boom of Ymir's mighty steps were heard outside, and the two hid among huge urns in kitchen when the frost giant entered. Tyr's mother spake with him, saying their son had come to visit with his friend, and she was making food for all. Ymir roared, and the house shook, and the urns fell broken. And Thor and Tyr stepped forth before the giant. Ymir was not pleased, but his wife served oxen, and with few words spoken, they began to eat. The frost giant ate much, but Thor ate more. Soon there were no oxen left, and the frost giants would have to eat fish tomorrow. Thor, thinking this would anger Ymir even more than he already was, offered to help the giant with his fishing. The giant balked that this small man could help him, but Thor claimed he could row as far and haul as much as any. And so they all put to sea. Ymir rowed hard and fast and travelled far, and when he stopped to fish, Thor took up the oars, rowing harder and faster and taking them further out to sea. The giant warned to not travel too far, or churn the deep sea with fierce rowing, as they may disturb Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent. But Thor said the deeper water would yield a bigger catch. The fishermen baited their lines, Thor baiting his with the bull from Ymir's own home. This maddened the giant, but being a gracious host, he said nothing. And they cast out their lines. Before long, Ymir landed 2 huge whales. And then the seas began to churn. Thor's line tightened, and the ship rocked, Thor battled with his catch, and a hard battle it was, for he had to summon all his godly strength. The sea heaved, and the head of the Midgard serpent erupted from the waters. The world shook, and Thor called to Tyr to pass his hammer that he may slay the beast. But Ymir, fearing the boat would be smashed to splinters, cut the great rope that was Thor's fishing line, and the great serpent swam far and fast, fearing it would be caught again. Thor was furious and chided the giant, who still shook with fear of the serpent Jormungandr. But the seas were now becalmed, and they still had the whales the frost giant had caught. So Thor rowed hard, until his fury left him. Back at Ymir's hall, all had recovered themselves. Ymir, now seeming in good spirit, called for his wife to bring wine and to show her the great catch of the whales. And Ymir bade Thor to crush a cup of wine with him, for the frost giants had now guessed who his son's friend really was. Thor, knowing Ymir feared Jormungandr, the great Midgard serpent, thought the giant may now fear him too. And this may be a trap or a trick, and so looked to his friend Tyr and his mother. They were fretful, for they believed the giant's goblet was unbreakable, and failing to break it would spit on Ymir's hospitality, and lose all chance of obtaining the cauldron for the mead. But then they looked upon Ymir's forehead, as hard and strong as a sea cliff. So Thor broke the goblet upon the giant's head, and while dazed, they took his great cauldron and ran. When Ymir recovered himself, he called the other frost giants of Jotunheim, and they gave chase. But upon a hill Thor made his stand, and bested them all with Mjolnir, his mighty hammer, until they were surrounded by beaten frost giants. And taking up the cauldron again, Thor and Tyr returned with cheer and song to the hall of Aegir. You may think this all another fisherman's tall tale, and you may be right. But Tyr was there as witness to the deeds, and hearing the tale made no objection. We shall leave you now to think upon it, and until you make your way this way again, good journey.
Thank you for listening. For updates, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.